Chapter 7. A week later, Rossner still has nightmares about that night. He's on the ship as it burns, watching soldiers run around frantically. Then he is on the cliff, or standing in the throne room, watching the king go up in flames. Each night the scene gets worse, more gruesome and heart-pounding. 2 nights ago was the worst of them. Rossner finds himself on the deck of the burning ship again. Dozens of soldiers are running, some on fire. The heat of the flames scorches his face, even with his arms held in front of it. Rossner understands if he stands here any longer, he will be roasted alive. So he makes his way to port side. He looks over the rail and into the choppy water below, where despite its rough surface, the scene behind him comes into clear view. The entire ship is engulfed in flames, casting nothing but red light across the water's surface. The ship's helm is nowhere to be seen. The stern is inaccessible. The sails are nearly gone, and towering behind him where the mast should be is a giant pillar of fire. Rossner feels like his skin is about to melt right off him. He takes a step onto the rail and prepares to haul himself over when he spots something. A pair of somethings in the water. On the edge of the fire's glow rests a pair of human-looking eyes, trained on Rossner, just above the water's surface. The raging fire dances like many figurines in its eyes, putting Rossner into a sort of trance. A large explosion sounds overhead. The heat on Rossner's back amplifies tenfold for a few seconds. He recoils in pain, but still searches around for the source of the explosion. Above, the crow's nest is engulfed in flames. A split second later, something large and dark dashes overhead in a blur. Bewildered by the shadow, Rossner barely registers a sound of wood popping and snapping. A few seconds later, the crow's nest breaks loose and falls in his direction. He tries to turn and jump over the rail, but his feet refuse to move. He looks down and sees his shoes fusing with the deck. Fear in his throat, he looks up just as the flaming crow's nest crashes down on him. Rossner flies out of bed, screaming. Sweat drenches his body. After reassuring himself it was only a dream, he lays back down. But he cannot sleep. This needs to stop. He needs answers. So he lays in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for everyone else to wake up. After spending some of the day asking around the village about a war between the orcs and the other races, Rossner learns the captain to be King Moglov, and the man he killed was Oedipus, a high king who died centuries ago. The two were part of the mountain tribe's conflict. As the story goes, conflict ensued when the high capital moved from its original place in Psalm. The mountain tribes were being pushed out of their home, so they fought back. Oedipus was originally in favor of wiping them out, but something changed his mind, and no one knows what it was that did it. But his second in command, a man by the name of Mogul Deathblade, as he was known, did not agree with the High King's change of heart. He single-handedly stormed the keep and slew Oedipus, effectively naming himself the next High King. Of course, he did have children who could rightfully assume the throne, but 2 of his sons signed away such rights, and the youngest went missing. Moglov has been seated ever since. Since this seems impossible, he asks how someone can live for so long. The result of such a question is that no one seems to have an answer. However, when the soldiers are not around, the people he asks are not afraid to say how horrible Moglov is. They tell him stories of cities that opposed him being burnt, multiple towns and entire regions murdered. Some claim some races have nearly been wiped out because of him, some without warning or provocation, all for some extravagant pit-fighting spectacle, according to a fisherman.
"The games!"
The old fisherman cackles.
"Yes, He does indeed enjoy slave tournaments, but there's more to it than just that.
Curious, Rosner edges closer to the man. What do you mean? He stops mid-cackle and grows serious. He lowers his raspy voice to a whisper, beckoning Rosner even closer.
The High King may enjoy watching others annihilate each other, but his ambitions stretch further than gruesome entertainment. He uses it as a sort of promotion. It is one of the ways in which he grows his army.
Rosner leans back, trying to take in what the old man says. It makes sense for him to have the games, being a violent person and all. It also makes sense that Moglov might want to recruit victors to ensure his army's strength. But, so how do you know all this? The old fisherman's eyes widen.
My boy, almost everyone knows about this, and if they say otherwise, they're lying. Some find it better to pretend the practice does not exist, for one reason or another.
The man's attention drifts to a small chest near his foot. Rosner sits there, waiting. When the fisherman does not move, Rosner convinces himself he should leave. As entertaining as his tale was, Rosner finds this man odd and would rather not be around him any longer than he already has. He stands up and turns around, but the fisherman calls him back. Rosner hesitates, but he turns back. When he does, the old man holds out a gold coin. The old man shakes it at him.
Trust me,
he tells him.
Sooner or later, you are going to need this.
Rosner eyes the coin and then the old man. Something in his eyes tells Rosner he will regret not taking it, so he grabs the gold piece and turns it over in his fingers. A rose is stamped on one side of it. Confused, Rosner flips it over. On the back reads the words, 7 of 7. Rosner stares at it and says the first thing that comes to mind. What in the 7 realms is this? The old man, appearing satisfied, Rosner takes the coin, stares at him, unpleased.
Watch your words, will you, boy?
Then he brings himself closer to Rosner and taps the coin with a finger.
Do not let this coin fool you. It is worthless to those who do not know what it is, but priceless to those that do.
Then why give it to me? Rosner asks, holding the coin out to the old man. Instead of taking it, like Rosner wants, he curls Rosner's fingers around it and brings it to the boy's chest.
Because someday you will know, and it will help you on your journey.
Rosner eyes the old man. Journey? What journey?
The journey we all hope you take,
says the old man. He turns to leave, but stops.
Oh, and one more thing, my dear boy. The picture will help lead you to where you need to go, but I'm sure others will help you beforehand. Most importantly, when you turn in this coin, someone will ask you, room or drink. You must reply with, the drink of the realms. Understand?
But I'm not allowed to drink. Rosner knows it is a stupid reply, but he cannot think of anything else. This is just too out there. The old man sighs.
Someday you will know and understand of what I speak. But now you must go. We have been together too long.
The man mumbles under his breath. Rosner strains to hear, but fails. Instead, he is ushered off the boat and onto the pier. After Rosner is cleared, the old man sets off, only turning back once to say,
Remember what I said, my dear boy.
Now Rosner sits in the cart while his mother talks to the barkeep in the Forgotten Gin. As soon as she walks in, Rosner retrieves the coin from his pocket and examines it. At this point, he does it so often he hardly realizes he is doing it. When he does, his mind drifts back to the old man. And likewise, when he thinks of the old man, he brings out the coin. It is something that has been infuriating Rosner ever since he received it yesterday, but he cannot help it. The old man said, "Someday." But Rosner does not want to wait. He wants to know now. Rosner freezes as a small clink and a muted thud enters his ears. He relaxes his hands and removes them from the bench he just slammed with his fists. He slowly looks over the side of the cart and peers at the ground. Looking back at him is a gold coin beneath a small cloud of dust. Rosner is on the ground before he realizes it, picks up the coin with shaky fingers.
Hey, what do you got there? Some coin to spare?
The hair on the nape of his neck rises.
Why now? If anyone that could approach him, why does it have to be Halcrow?
He knows his only choice is to turn around and face the bane of his existence. If he does not, this has the chance to go from bad to worse. He turns around to Halcrow staring at him with those wild eyes and crazy grin. This look is really getting annoying.
What do you want?
Halcrow's eyes narrow with annoyance, and Rosner's eyes widen with fear, unable to believe the fierceness of his own comment.
Did you really just speak to me like that?
Rosner says nothing while Halcrow stalks up to him and snatches the coin from him. Halcrow's expression slowly turns to disgust.
What in the 7 realms is this? A ticket to a fairy parade?
He throws the coin back at Rosner.
You are more messed up than I thought.
The next words that come out of Rosner's mouth, he does nothing to hold back.
Shut up!
He can taste the venom in his own words, and for a moment, he enjoys it. Halcrow holds his ground, but Rosner can tell his words cut something deep. The older boy looks around and finds a few people with their eyes on them, waiting for what they are going to do next. After looking around himself, Rosner realizes he might have spoken a little louder than he meant to. You are lucky people are watching, Halcrow spits, grasping Rosner's attention once more. He takes a step forward so that his and Rosner's face are inches apart. I will not forget this, Halcrow warns. The boy takes a moment for his comment to set in, then he heads down the road. As Rosner watches Halcrow walk away, the taste of his words grow sour. What in the 7 realms did he just do? He just signed his own death sentence with this kid. Rosner pockets the coin and rubs his hands against his face, attempting to clear his thoughts without success. A girl's voice behind Rosner roots him to the spot. You all right there? Her voice is sweet, concerned. In a daze, Rosner removes his hands from his face and turns to face her. Yes, it was... He cannot find the words to finish his thought. Before him stands a beautiful girl about his year, with eyes of the deep sea, carrying along its calm waves, delicate, dark green seaweed. Her long hair, kissed by the life-giver herself, takes the color of deep blonde with the perfect blend of the dust of red sandstone. Her skin resembles the sand, light and delicate with small splotches of lovely imperfections. The few freckles she has spread over her face and onto her chest, with a collective few gathering around her nose. She covers herself with a simple cloth skirt and pants that hug the middle of her calf at the ends. Her bare feet are darkened by wet sand and dirt she has collected on her way here. It was... what, may I ask? Her voice brings him back to her eyes. For a split second he continues to stare, then guilt fills his soul, and he looks at the ground. How could he let himself stare at someone like that? It was, just a misunderstanding, Rosner lies, his voice holding the shame he still feels. That is not what it looked like to me, she argues. Then a hint of concern enters her next words. Looked like he was picking on you. Unable to control his mouth, Rosner admits, it is not anything new. A few silent seconds pass. Rosner waits, not wanting to be the first to leave, but he also does not know what else to do. Then a hand appears in his sight. Confused, he looks up to the girl holding out her hand. Name is Sindra. Rosner finds a smile on his lips. He shakes her hand and replies in kind. Rosner. A smile breaks on Sindra's face as well. Well then, it's good meeting you, Rosner. By the way, I thought I would let you know I saw the entire thing. And heard. Rosner feels the blood drain from his face. Oh, come on. What you said to him. I thought it was cool. And just like that, his blood rushes back to his face. More than before. Really? Yeah. Sindra's smile widens with every word, and he smiles with her. I was actually following him to give him a piece of my mind, but I'm satisfied with how you stood up to him. Well, why were you doing that? Rosner asks, suddenly curious. Sindra looks at him for a second. Doing what? Going after him? Because he refused to leave me and my friend alone. Then a small smile creeps back to her thin lips. That is, until my father wandered over. They share a few more seconds, laughing at the thought. But eventually, Sindra grows serious. I really must be going. My father is no doubt wondering where I am. I enjoyed meeting you, Rosner. She takes off. After a couple steps, she stops and turns back around. I do hope to see you again. Perhaps you will meet my friend at some point as well. Then she is gone. The moment Sindra slips into the crowd, Rosner hears his mother turn to the head of the cart. His mother calls to him. Rosner, we need to go. He takes a second longer to stare into the crowd, then returns to the cart. For the next several days, Rosner tries to figure out where his mind was when he was talking to Sindra, or if he even had a mind. He has talked to girls before without a problem, but as of late there have been two that have made him stop in his steps. What is going on in his head? The more he thinks about it, the more it irritates Rosner that someone can render him speechless as well as harmless. With either Sindra or Ilsa, whose memory brings forth sad emotions, they could have done nearly anything, and he would find himself being okay with it. This nonsense needs to stop. A white flash blinds Rosner. He covers his eyes with his hands, then slowly brings them back down, scanning the area for the source. He does not have to look long. Mid-search, his mother announces,
Damn Van Mirayen. Can they not bother someone else?
Rosner follows his mother's gaze, squinting his eyes in the falling light of the life-giver. A short distance in front of them, a small group of foot soldiers in chest plates marched towards Tickthram. When they reach the outskirts of the village, the soldiers slither their way into the shadows of the wood. A few moments later, Rosner and his mother pass by where the soldiers entered. Aside from flattened tall blades of grass, there is no evidence of their presence. Even as they pass, Rosner refuses to take his eyes off the entryway. Soldiers never come from inland. What are they up to? When the horses are situated in their pens, Rosner strides to the back of the barn. His mother's voice rings in his ears, bringing him to a halt. Where are you going? Turning around, Rosner finds his mother with hands on her hips, still standing next to the cart. He lets out a silent prayer of thanks for the distance and dim light between them as a bead of sweat trickles down the side of his face. I was going to grab some more kindling from the woods. Pretty sure we are low. A moment of silence passes between them. Rosner's heart pounds through his chest. Please let this go. Please let this go. His mother lets out a small sigh. Okay, but be quick. The life-giver has just kissed the land. Rosner's entire body relaxes. Will do, he promises, then runs out a side door in the back. As he passes through the doorway, he hesitates for a split second, but shakes his head and continues. He doesn't need it right now. If anything, that would be the thing to get him killed. He has been walking for only a few minutes and is already beginning to question his actions. Under the cover of the trees, what is left of the life-giver's life is not able to penetrate through their branches, casting Rosner into darkness. The creatures of the night begin to rouse, calling out to the life-giver's second, Perelios, who has already begun to fall asleep. His eyes droop like someone forcing themselves to stay awake. By the end of the week, he will be fully at rest, and the rest of Omnimentus will cast into a black night, a night that is always accompanied by the silence of well-worn travelers, for they know the horrors that it brings. The black night is when ghost stories become reality. Creatures of the dark venture out and seek unprepared victims. It is not a night of chatter. It is a night of remaining alert and little sleep. Owls, wolves, insects, and other creatures ring in Rosner's ears. Each individual sound whispers to Rosner with persuading words to return to his home. The darkness of the wood is not where he should be. Rosner leans against a tree, panting. Fear is getting to him. Fear of the creatures that look in the dark. But it is not the ones that he hears that he fears. It is the ones he does not that are getting to him. The few scary bedside stories that his mother used to tell him now return. Wraiths, vampires, werewolves, and shadows come alive in his mind, hiding behind trees, peering from the treetops. Through shaky lips, Rosner mutters to himself, "Why did I do this?" As though he asked the gods, he is given his answer. A short distance ahead, a faint glow of torch twinkles in the darkness. With quick, silent feet, Rosner moves towards it. As he edges closer, the single torch multiplies into about 12 in a small circle on the outer edge of a small clearing. Within the circle are an assortment of tents with a campfire in its center. Rosner crouches behind some brush and stares through its branches. The soldiers sit around the fire, some eating, some talking. A couple rise and turn to their tents. Their lasts carry over to Rosner, along with a few words that still him.
"We outnumber them 10-1. We are only here to observe, remember that. Pah! After the burning of that ship and that beast."
Rosner watches a man around the fire silence another with the tip of his sword near his throat.
"Do not speak of it,"
the man holding the blade hisses.
"In a place like this, you never know who might be listening." "Enough!"
Another man walks into view. By the way he holds himself, Rosner guesses it to be the leader of the group.
"I will not have bloodshed between men here. Am I understood?"
He takes a moment to retrieve his answers, then adds,
"Now rest, all of you. We must learn as much as we can about this land. I do not trust the reports received beforehand."
As the men disperse, Rosner takes it as his turn to leave as well. He slips back into the shadows and heads for home, contemplating the meaning of what he witnessed.